Chapter 31. Manipulative Fiancé. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing what Yi Chen said, Leng Ruoxue was stunned. Is this something a man should say? Protect this freak from female perverts. If you're so scared, why are you going out and wandering around? Although she couldn't see this freak's strength, his companion was an advanced spiritual sovereign. I also need protection, so. Leng Ruoxue actually wanted to say that she couldn't protect him, but before she could finish, he interrupted her. That's even better. I'll protect you, and you'll protect me. We'll protect each other. Yi Chen smiled brightly. Leng Ruoxue felt helpless. She could tell that the man was planning to rely on her. Swear, I've prepared breakfast. Feng Moran said. Okay. Leng Ruoxue decided not to intertwine over the matter. If he wants to rely on me, there's nothing much I can do. I'll just enjoy breakfast first. After breakfast, Leng Ruoxue gave Feng Moran a pill. Big brother Feng, go and break through. Is this a spiritual essence pill? Feng Moran looked at the pill in Shuer's hand in astonishment. He knew that she was an alchemist, but he didn't expect her to be able to concoct spiritual essence pills. Doesn't this mean she's already a master alchemist? Although master alchemists were not top tier, they were highly sought after by major forces. Yes. After you advance, we'll leave here, Leng Ruoxue said. She had stayed here for a while and almost finished picking all the herbs, so it was time for her to move on. With a grateful look, Feng Moran took the pill from Shuer and entered his tent. After seeing him enter his tent, Leng Ruoxue set up a barrier around it to prevent him from being disturbed. Shuer, let's have grilled fish for lunch. Yi Chen didn't want to be ignored and pestered her. We just had breakfast. Leng Ruoxue said. Another glutton. Let's prepare first. Yi Chen looked at the stunning beauty pitifully. Then go and prepare. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Hearing her words, he took off to prepare for lunch happily. 2 hours later, Leng Ruoxue sensed more and more spiritual energy flowing toward Feng Moran's tent and knew that he was about to break through. Seems like the spiritual essence pill is effective. An hour later, as the heaven and earth laws faded away, Feng Moran emerged from his tent, looking refreshed and elated. Shuer, thank you. Feng Moran's eyes glittered like stars as he looked at Leng Ruoxue with gratitude. Although he was the eldest son of the main branch of the Feng family, he was not qualified to take a spiritual essence pill due to his lacking aptitude in such a top-notch family with abundant talents. He didn't expect to meet Shuer and change his fate. I, Feng Moran, am willing to follow Leng Ruoxue all my life and will never betray her. Feng Moran suddenly declared solemnly. With that, a contract array descended, covering them in it. Follower contract. Big brother Feng, you. Leng Ruoxue didn't know what to say. She just looked at Feng Moran slightly reproachfully. She knew that he wanted to thank her, but he didn't have to use this method. The follower contract was one of the severest contracts between people on the Ling Feng continent. The follower in the contract had to be forever loyal, and betrayal was impermissible regardless of thought or action. Otherwise, the follower would be obliterated by heaven and earth laws. Big brother Feng, go wash up and change your clothes. Seeing that things had already unfolded like this, Leng Ruoxue knew that it was meaningless to say anything else. But she knew that she couldn't only treat Feng Moran as a partner anymore but also as a family member. Feng Moran looked down and realized that a grayish-black substance giving off a peculiar smell was covering his body. He blushed and hurried to the nearby river to wash up. It seems that adding jade elixir to spiritual essence pills has the effect of remolding the body. Jade elixir was a spiritual liquid produced by heaven and earth, and it had the effect of remolding your body and changing your physique. Of course, Qing Ju had told her this because there was a jade elixir spring in the heaven and earth bracelet that had been producing it for hundreds of millions of years. It was the milky white fluid that exuded an exotic fragrance. As for additional effects, even Qin Ju didn't know. Although she had concocted a lot of spiritual essence pills with jade elixir added, she had left most of them with her grandfather, so she didn't know exactly what had changed with the new spiritual essence pills. However, she knew that the effect was definitely better than the original. Is this me? After washing, Fong Moran looked in disbelief at his smooth and supple skin. Hey, why are you in a daze there? Darling, who came to look for him, yelled impatiently. Isn't it just slightly fairer skin and a better complexion? Why are you overreacting? If you follow my beloved master, things like these will happen all the time. Your ability to bear surprises is too bad. You have to work on it. Darling taught him. Hurry up and go back to pack up. We're leaving in the afternoon, Darling urged. Okay, Fong Moran replied. Seems like I really have to work on my ability to bear surprises. Woo, woo, woo. Big sister, Fong doesn't want you to go. The little silver wolf cried in Leng Ruoshue's arms, his beautiful fur wet with tears. Fong, you have to be obedient, and don't be naughty, okay? Leng Ruoshue coaxed him. She was also reluctant to part with this little guy, but she could not bring him along. After all, he still had a family and an entire tribe. Leng Ruoshue passed the little wolf back to the Silver Wolf King and handed him a bottle of green spirit pills. Thank you. The Silver Wolf King knew that this human was an alchemist, so he did not decline. After accepting the pills, he gave her a white fong. Leng Ruoshue looked at the fong in puzzlement. It was roughly the size of an adult's palm, translucent and milky white, and slightly warm to the touch like jade. This is the token of us wolves. Having it with you, you will be regarded as the most honorable guest of the wolves in any forest, the Silver Wolf King explained. Chapter 32. I want to marry you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you, Leng Ruoshue said. The wolf race was the biggest spirit beast race in the forests. Having the friendship of the wolves would definitely be very helpful for their training in the forests. After bidding farewell to these lovable silver wolves, Leng Ruoshue and the others left their territory under the reluctant gazes of the wolves. Shwer, here. Eat this. Yi Chen passed her a grilled fish. They had left the Silver Wolf tribe's territory for a few days, but her spirits were still down, so he was worried about her. He really wanted to go and capture some silver wolves to contract them with her. Thank you. Leng Ruoshue accepted the fish and took a bite. Suddenly, a piercing wolf's howl resounded. What was that? Leng Ruoshue asked Charm, who was lying on her shoulder. A signal for the wolves to gather, Charm explained. Humans might not understand the howls of spirit beasts, but other spirit beasts could. Oh. Just as Leng Ruoshue was about to continue asking, a mercenary team of roughly a dozen people approached them. Greetings, everyone. It's getting late, and we can't find a suitable place to camp. Can we share this place with you? A man in his 40s asked politely. He should be the leader of this team. If I said no, would you leave? Yi Chen said with a faint smile. They look calm on the surface, but there's a panic in their eyes. They must have gotten into some trouble. Wanting to share the camp is fake. Their real intention is to drag us into it and have us fight for them if anything goes wrong. We won't be taken advantage of so easily. Moreover, trouble that an intermediate spiritual sovereign can't solve is definitely big trouble. Us choosing this place to camp is your good fortune. Stop being ungrateful and making a fuss and make some room for us. A snobbish and arrogant female voice sounded. Shut up, the middle-aged man yelled. He had had enough. Third uncle. The snobbish young lady said in dissatisfaction. We really can't find a better spot to camp. Please help us. We will never forget your kindness, the middle-aged man said courteously and smiled friendly. We are from the Su family. It is your honor to have us stay here for the night, the snobbish young lady couldn't help interjecting again. The Su family of the 5 great families. Leng Ruoxue finally spoke. Of course we are. Let me tell you, it's your honor that we're willing to stay at your shabby little place, the young lady said arrogantly. Yes, we should be honored. Are you related to Su Nar? Leng Ruoxue asked lightly. She's my elder sister. Why? Do you know her? No. But I've heard her name. Oh. Of course. My sister is second on the Ling Feng Continent Beauty Rankings, and many people know her, the young lady said arrogantly, as if she herself was second. All right, let them stay. Leng Ruoxue looked at Yi Chen and then went back into her tent. You can stay, but don't stay too close to us, Yi Chen said coldly. The Su family. Thank you. The middle-aged man thanked them and then organized his group to set up camp. The snobbish young lady didn't have anyone around her now, and she looked around curiously. Linner, don't wander around, the middle-aged man warned. I know, Su Linner said impatiently, but her eyes kept looking around. What's so good about this place? Why does third uncle insist on camping here? Suddenly, Su Linner's gaze stopped, and she couldn't move her eyes away. What a beautiful man. Although he's standing in a dark corner, his brilliance can't be covered. He was the best-looking man she had ever seen, and her heart was racing. It was as though only she could see this peerlessly beautiful man in the world. I want to marry you. With starry-eyed infatuation and a love-struck gaze, Su Nar dashed to right in front of Yi Chen. There was even some dubious liquid flowing at the corner of her mouth. Everyone was flabbergasted by what she said. Yi Chen stood there expressionlessly and gazed coldly at the love-struck fool. You're not worthy. Yi Chen said impatiently as the murderous gaze in his eyes fleeted away. Do you know who I am? I am the most pampered second young lady of the Su family. I am giving you face by taking a fancy to you. Don't be so ungrateful. Or else you will regret it later. Su Linner screamed hysterically. She finally liked a man, but he unexpectedly didn't appreciate it. Not far away, Mu Li and Feng Moran watched this ridiculous scene, flabbergasted. What is this? Not to mention the two of them, even the mercenaries who came with Su Linner felt a little embarrassed. They couldn't understand how she could behave like this in this critical and perilous situation. Linner, stop making a fool of yourself, shouted the middle-aged man, whom Su Linner called third uncle. Even I can't tell how powerful he is. That's why I choose to camp here brazenly. How will she ever be worthy of him? Shut up. Don't meddle in my affairs. Don't think you're really my third uncle just because I call you that. You are just someone born of a concubine. You don't have any rights to control me. Su Linner said disdainfully. If her mother didn't tell her to behave before she came out and that he was a spiritual sovereign, she wouldn't even call him third uncle. But he actually thought that he really was her elder, and he had been ordering her around and criticizing her all along the way, trying to manage everything. She had long been displeased with him. You. The middle-aged man almost fainted from anger. The Su family truly taught you well. Worthy of being one of the 5 great families. Leng Ruoxue walked out of her tent when she heard what they said. With the excitement outside, she wanted to join in on the fun. Who are you to say that? Su Linner was agitated when she saw the stunningly beautiful woman capable of causing the downfall of a nation. Although Su Linner knew that she wasn't as attractive as her sister, Su Nar, she was still very confident about her beauty. But this woman was even more beautiful than them. Rather, she was even more beautiful than Shui Xinran, the first beauty of the Ling Feng continent. She was already very upset by the fact that Shui Xinran was more good-looking than them, but now there was an even better-looking one. They couldn't do anything to Shui Shinran, but couldn't she do something about this woman? Chapter 33. It's exactly you that I'm hitting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wife, someone wants to snatch your man. You have to protect me. Yi Chen immediately looked at Leng Ruoxue pitifully when he saw her come out of her tent. Leng Ruoxue glanced at him and then ignored him. After spending a few days together, she had become familiar with his tasteless words and behavior. Wife. Su Lin looked at Leng Ruoxue with even more jealousy. Then she must die. Suddenly, a group of silver wolves approached and surrounded them. The mercenaries, who were petrified ever since seeing Leng Ruoxue, suddenly returned to their senses when they saw the silver wolves. We still couldn't run away. They really hated the arrogant Su family's young lady. They were just mercenaries and only here for money. But none of them wanted to risk their lives for that little amount of money. Leng Ruoxue looked at the silver wolves in confusion. What are they doing here? The tall silver wolf king emerged from the group. His furry face was elated when he saw Leng Ruoxue. He turned back and barked softly. The wolf queen also emerged while holding a group of bloody flesh in her mouth. She walked to Leng Ruoxue and tearfully lowered the group of badly mutilated flesh in front of her. Leng Ruoxue looked at the barely recognizable group of bloody flesh and was heartbroken. It's little Feng Feng. The others, including Yi Chen, crowded over. Although they hadn't spent much time with the little wolf, all of them really liked the adorable little guy. Everyone felt heartbroken seeing him like this. Leng Ruoxue squatted in front of Feng Feng and checked his breath with her fingers. He was still breathing but extremely weakly. Without hesitation, she took out a pill and stuffed it into the little wolf's mouth. Then she looked up at the silver wolf king. What happened? Leng Ruoxue asked angrily. It's them. The silver wolf king stared daggers at Su Lin and the group of mercenaries. You did this. Leng Ruoxue looked at them coldly. She had not been so angry ever since coming to this world. Yeah, so what if I did? I liked it and wanted it to be my spirit beast, but it refused. Su Lin said in annoyance. In her mind, she always believed that anything she wanted had to be hers. If she couldn't obtain it, she would rather destroy it than let anyone else get it. She didn't feel that she was at fault at all. The people of the Su family are truly overbearing. Leng Ruoxue said scornfully. What she despised the most were the unreasonable and rampant children of the rich and powerful who did whatever they wanted just because of their background. Big sister, Feng Feng finally found you. After the little wolf finally woke up and saw Leng Ruoxue, he rubbed his soft fluffy body against her calf, being affectionate. Little Feng Feng, tell big sister how she hurt you. Leng Ruoxue hugged the little wolf. She wanted Feng Feng to be her spirit beast, but I don't like her and refused. So she hit Feng Feng with a long black thing, the little wolf said fearfully. Leng Ruoxue looked at the silver wolf king doubtfully. Shouldn't he have sent some adult wolves to protect his son? How did someone hurt him? Seemingly knowing what was on her mind, the silver wolf king explained helplessly, he got rid of the wolves protecting him and ran off by himself. Didn't big sister tell you to be obedient before leaving? Why were you so naughty? Leng Ruoxue asked unhappily. Feng Feng missed big sister and wanted to find big sister, the little wolf said aggrievedly with tears welling up in his silver eyes. After hearing this, Leng Ruoxue was unwilling to blame him. Instead, she moved her gaze to Su Lin. Black. Is it that whip? Seeing the black whip coiled around Su Lin's waist, she dashed forward and grabbed the whip. Give it back to me. Su Lin screamed furiously as she bolted at Leng Ruoxue. It was her favorite weapon. Leng Ruoxue gently raised her hand, and a stream of fire attribute spiritual energy instantly blasted Su Lin away. How dare you? The Su family won't let you go. After being knocked to the ground, Su Linner shrieked hysterically, despite her disheveled appearance. Obviously, she hadn't understood the situation yet and didn't know her life was in someone else's hands. Leng Ruoxue did not bother to look at her again and instead raised the whip to scrutinize it. It was an advanced treasured artifact. The whip was entirely black and full of barbs, and it was probably made from the tendons of a spirit beast. Although treasured artifacts were the lowest grade of armaments, the barbs on the whip were deadly enough to kill spirit beast cubs. Little Feng Feng, did this woman hit you with this? Leng Ruoxue asked. Yes. The little wolf nodded in fear. Upon hearing this, Leng Ruoxue raised her hand and whipped Su Linner. Aha! How dare you hit me? I won't let you off. I'm going to kill you. Su Linner rolled on the ground in pain, but she still kept shouting threats. It's exactly you that I'm hitting. Pa pa. The whip left strips of bloodstains on Su Linner's body with each strike. Aha! Third uncle, save me. Su Linner screamed in pain. The middle-aged man looked at Su Linner in exasperation. Humph. Now you think I'm your third uncle. However, it was not that he didn't want to save her but that he couldn't. He couldn't move at all now. Miss, if you treat someone from the Su family like this, the Su family won't forgive you, the middle-aged man said, implying that the Su family would never let her off. This miss hates being threatened the most, Leng Ruoxue said indifferently and whipped harder. Concord, I'll leave them to you, Leng Ruoxue said to the Silver Wolf King. If not for her, the Silver Wolves would have already torn them into pieces. The Silver Wolf King nodded, and the wolves gradually closed in on these humans. Su Linner, covered in wounds, the middle-aged man, and the dozen or so mercenaries looked at the thousands of silver wolves surrounding them and were terrified. However, they knew that there was no escape from the vengeance of the silver wolves. The wolves swarmed around them, each of them baring their sharp fangs menacingly. Chapter 34. Blazing Flame Mercenary Group. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. You can't do this to me. I'm the most favored second young lady of the Su family. Su Linner yelled. But her voice became weaker and weaker until nothing could be heard anymore. After they got rid of Su Linner and her third uncle, their eyes turned to the dozen or so mercenaries. Captain, what should we do? A mercenary stammered. Wait for death, the captain said sadly. They would not be able to run away. Even if they escaped by chance, returning to their mercenary group would be a dead end. The Su family would not let them go, and it was impossible for the group to become enemies with the Su family for them. Moreover, for mercenaries who had dead employers but returned alive, no one would dare to hire them again since they would be labeled as greedy for life and fearful of death. Wait. The Silver Wolf King heard Leng Ruoxue's voice just as he was about to give an order. He turned his head in confusion and looked at her. Concord, they're just mercenaries. If they didn't take part in injuring little Feng Feng, let them go. Leng Ruoxue suddenly said. She had been observing for a while now. Although the dozen or so mercenaries were scared, none of them begged for mercy. They were true men. The Silver Wolf King looked at the mercenaries, then at Leng Ruoxue, and nodded. He motioned the silver wolves to make way and let them go. These silver wolves don't intend to kill us anymore. The mercenaries had lingering fears as they looked at each other in disbelief, and some couldn't believe that it was true. Seeing them still standing there stupidly, Leng Ruoxue reminded them, quickly leave. The captain looked at the stunning beauty, struggling in his heart, and then knelt down on one knee. I, Feng De, would like to acknowledge Miss as my master. I will always be loyal to you and never betray you. Why? Leng Ruoxue asked. She didn't want to find trouble for herself. If the employers of mercenaries die, even if they return to their mercenary group, they will be regarded as people who are fearful of death. Our employer is the Su family, and they will not let us go. Even if we don't die in the mouths of the silver wolves now, we won't be able to survive for long after returning to the group. I don't want to die. I'm willing to do anything for Miss to repay you for this great favor, the man named Fengde said sincerely. He knew that if he only said something along the lines of repaying her with gratitude, this young lady would definitely not agree. Therefore, he would rather tell the truth, hoping that this young lady would consider him sincere enough and take in him and his brothers. After hearing what their captain said, the other mercenaries also reacted the same way, saying they wanted to acknowledge her as their master and would always be loyal to her. Schwer, you are so amazing. You are about to undermine the second largest mercenary group, the Anaconda Mercenary Group. Yi Chen said with a chuckle after looking at the emblem on their chests. Noel.N, do you want to harm me? If I really take you in, wouldn't I become enemies with the Anaconda Mercenary Group? Lang Ruoxue pretended to be displeased. Mercenary groups were divided into 6 ranks. A, B, C, D, E, and F. A. Rank was the highest, and F. Rank was the lowest. The Anaconda Mercenary Group was the highest rank and also one of the 3 major mercenary groups on the Ling Feng continent. Don't worry, Mississippi. We will never implicate you. Although the Anaconda Mercenary Group is the second largest mercenary group, they would not dare to offend the Su family. If they know that our employer is dead, they will definitely abandon us. We can follow Miss forever, Fengde explained. But if the Su family, one of the 5 great families, knows that you are following me, I'm afraid they will get rid of me together with you, right? Lang Ruoxue said worriedly. Hearing what she said, the mercenaries headed by Fengde were stunned because they knew that she was right. They would indeed become a burden and implicate this young lady. Miss is right. I did not think it through, Fengde said, somewhat embarrassed. He originally thought that she had to be a member of one of the top families on par with the Su family since she could become friends with these silver wolves, and her appearance and temperament were so outstanding. Their lives could be saved this way, but he didn't expect. Sigh, I was thinking too simply. Lang Ruoxue looked at this man named Fengde. He was about 30 years old, tall, had good features, and was at intermediate spiritual monarch. Just now, when he said that he wanted to acknowledge her as his master, he only mentioned himself and not his subordinates because he had made the decision relatively hastily and had not discussed it with them. Then he explained the reason he wanted to acknowledge her as his master very sincerely. It was not just for her but also to remind his subordinates. Now, after listening to her, he was also aware of the mistakes in his thinking. Yes, this is a smart, loyal, and responsible man. She was very satisfied. I can take you all in, Lang Ruoxue said. They had passed her test. Fengde and the others were stunned again. Did we hear it right? But the Su family. I don't care about the Su family, Lang Ruoxue said coldly. She would be enemies with the Su family sooner or later, so it was better to prepare early. Fengde and the others looked at each other happily and then knelt on one knee very neatly. May I ask your name, Mississippi? Fengde asked. Lang Ruoxue. I, Fengde, Lin Yuan, would like to acknowledge Lang Ruoxue as our master. We will always be loyal and will never betray you. More than a dozen people swore in unison after they said their names one by one. The contract array descended on everything, and the contract was established. Get up. Don't kneel so casually in the future. Lang Ruoxue looked at the 15 people. She had not thought of asking them to swear allegiance, but she would not refuse. Moreover, the contract just now was just a contract of loyalty and not as overbearing as the follower contract. As long as they did not betray her, it would have any effect on them. Schwer, since we've accepted them, why don't we set up a mercenary group for fun too? Yi Chen said from the side, obviously bored. Fengde and the others heard the words of the man who was as beautiful as a heavenly being and were dumbfounded. Set up a mercenary group for fun. Okay. Lang Ruoxue nodded. She was also thinking this. What should we name it? How about the Blazing Flame Mercenary Group? Lang Ruoxue said after thinking. In this way, the Blazing Flame Mercenary Group, known as the Forever F. rank that caused a huge stir and inspired awe across the Ling Feng continent in the future, was quietly established. Chapter 35. You are a monster. 1. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Blazing Flame Mercenary Group, this name isn't bad. Swear, you have to give me a good position. Yi Chen said. I'll make you the leader, Lang Ruoxue said. She intended to be an arm-flinging shopkeeper. You should be the leader since they are your subordinates. I can just be a deputy leader, Yi Chen said. How can I not know what's going through Shuer's mind? I definitely won't give her the chance to be lazy. Yes, Shuer. You should be the leader, Feng Moran echoed. Yes, Mississippi. You should be the leader of our mercenary group, the 15 mercenaries also repeated. See, this is what everyone wants, Yi Chen said with some pride. Well, all right then. Lang Ruoxue said reluctantly. She looked at these 15 people carefully. Except for Feng De, who was a spiritual monarch, the rest were actually great spiritualists. Such a group of spiritualists was truly luxurious for an ordinary mercenary group. Probably only the 3 major mercenary groups would be able to have such a lineup. Big Brother Feng, please share this with them. Lang Ruoxue took out a bottle of spiritual essence pills and handed it to Feng Moran. These people might be good in the eyes of others. But in her opinion, their strength was still too low. Okay. Feng Moran took the pills and handed everyone one except Feng De. These are spiritual essence pills. Feng De's eyes widened in disbelief. He had seen a spiritual essence pill once in the mercenary group. It was very similar to these but wasn't the same. After hearing what he said, the other 14 were all startled. Are these really spiritual essence pills? If they were not orphans, they came from ordinary commoner families. Spiritual essence pills had sky-high prices, so they naturally wouldn't have seen them before. Prepare to advance after taking the pills. Feng Moran said with a smile. After hearing what he said, they quickly put the pills in their mouths and then directly sat cross-legged on the ground, not daring to delay for a single moment. Lang Ruoxue watched as Feng De looked at his subordinate's advancement with envy and threw him a red fruit. Eat it, Beov. Thank you, miss, Feng De said gratefully. Even if he didn't recognize the fruit, he could feel the very rich spiritual energy coming from it and knew that it was definitely something good. He carefully held the fruit, found an open spot to sit down, and then consumed it. On behalf of my Silver Wolf tribe, I have decided to acknowledge you as our master, the Silver Wolf King, who had been silent, suddenly said. The reason why he had been silent just now was that he was discussing this with his tribe. He decided to acknowledge her as his master for the sake of his son, but he didn't want to force the other Silver Wolves. After discussing it with them, he didn't expect the proposal to pass unanimously. Big sister, Feng wants to be together with Big Sister, the little wolf said happily. Okay, Lang Ruoxue coaxed. But her gaze was on the Silver Wolf King. She knew that silver wolves liked their freedom, so she was surprised that they would make such a decision. You are different from other humans. We believe in you, and Feng doesn't want to leave you, and we don't want to be separated from our own child, the Silver Wolf King explained. Don't worry. You will all be my family from now on, Lang Ruoxue said sincerely. The Silver Wolf King nodded and then took the initiative to establish the contract with her. Then the Silver Wolf Queen, the little wolf, and all the silver wolves also acknowledged her as their master in turn. Contract arrays flashed for a long time before slowly disappearing. Feng Moran looked at the huge number of arrays, stunned. This was the first time he has seen a person contract with so many spirit beasts in his life. Moreover, it was the spirit beasts who took the initiative to establish the contracts. It seemed like his ability to bear surprises would indeed improve as long as he was with Shuer. In contrast, Yi Chen and Mu Li seemed much calmer. After the Silver Wolves acknowledged her as their master, Leng Ruoxue let all the Silver Wolves enter the spirit beast space, while she brought the Silver Wolf King and his family directly into the Heaven and Earth bracelet. After she finished settling the Silver Wolves, the mercenaries began to advance one after another. After most of them advanced, Leng Ruoxue spoke to Yi Chen and the others and then entered her tent. After entering her tent, she went straight into the Heaven and Earth bracelet. She watched little Feng Feng sprinting around excitedly and knew instantly that this little guy was adapting well. Blaze also had a little partner now. As for the Silver Wolf King and Queen, they were still adapting. Leng Ruoxue didn't bother them. She walked straight into the purple bamboo house and looked at the sleeping baby. Then she calmed her mind and prepared to refine artifacts. During this period of time, she had spent much more time on alchemy than artificing, so her artificing level was not very high. However, she planned to use her time refining artifacts tonight. The next morning, after getting out of her tent, she found that everyone was busy, and their spirits were very high. After seeing her, they all stopped working and gathered in front of her, looking at her with gratitude. Mississippi. Very good. Leng Ruoxue looked at the 15 people in front of her. Feng De was now an advanced spiritual monarch, and 3 were now intermediate spiritual monarchs among the other 14 people. Leng Ruoxue took out 14 badges, gave them to Feng De, and asked him to share them with the others. The badges were golden and had 2 small beasts on the front. One was a blazing flame lion, and the other was a silver wolf. They were the images of Blaze and little Feng Feng. Each of their names was engraved on the back of each badge. After Feng De finished distributing them, seeing that he did not have one, he looked at Leng Ruoxue eagerly. Leng Ruoxue took out a purplish gold badge and handed it to Feng De amusedly. Feng De took the badge and happily pinned it on the left side of his chest. The badges need a drop of blood to recognize their master, Leng Ruoxue said. After hearing this, the 15 of them hurriedly dripped blood onto their badges. After that, all of them became stunned. What happened to them? Feng Moran asked curiously as he walked toward Shuer. This is yours. It will recognize you as its master with a drop of blood. Leng Ruoxue handed Feng Moran a purple badge. Oh. Feng Moran did the same without even thinking about it and then became stunned like the others. What good thing is that? Yi Chen came forward, carrying 2 spirit beasts that resembled pigs. Somebody who asks others to work but does nothing themselves. Chapter 36. You are a monster, too. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Leng Ruoxue looked at his clothes, a little helpless. This glutton went hunting early in the morning. These are the badges of our mercenary group for you too. Leng Ruoxue handed him and Mu Li a badge each. They took the badge and pinned them directly on their chests. Shuer teed up this sacred artifact, a defensive sacred artifact. Feng Moran asked in disbelief after coming back to his senses. Heavens, could Shuer also be an artificer? Yes, what's wrong? Is it strange? Feng Mo was speechless. Where did this monster come from? Not only is she an alchemist, but she's also an artificer. A sacred artifact. Only an supreme artificer can refine one. The levels of weapons and equipment were divided into treasured artifacts, spirit artifacts, and sacred artifacts. Each level was also divided into elementary, intermediate, and advanced. Only a supreme artificer could refine sacred artifacts, but the success rate of that was only 30%. Big Brother Feng, you have to calm down. What if I tell you that I'm also a beast trainer? Leng Ruoxue said half-jokingly. She planned to have a few of her subordinates establish contracts with spirit beasts, so she didn't intend to hide it anyway. You are a monster. Fong Moran managed to muster saying after being stunned for a while. The mercenaries, who had just recovered their senses, also nodded in agreement with Fong Moran. Their young lady was indeed a monster, but this monster was their young lady and the person they wanted to follow, so the more monstrous she was, the better. Becoming spiritual monarchs, defensive sacred artifacts, and Miss said she would help us contract spirit beasts. Heavens! They didn't even dare to think about this type of equipment before, but this also made them more determined to follow their young lady forever. Leng Ruoxue looked at the excited people in front of her. Since you are now my subordinates, of course I will give you the best equipment. However, it's not up to me as to how far you can go. What she implied was that she would give them the same opportunities, but what they could achieve would depend on their own efforts. We won't let Miss down, the 15 people said in unison. Feng De, you will still be their captain in the future, Leng Ruoxue said. Yes, Feng De quickly replied, unable to hide the excitement on his face. He originally thought that it was enough to stay alive following this young lady, but he did not expect such a big surprise. In the future, solve everything that you can by yourself. If you can't solve it, don't bother me, Leng Ruoxue continued irresponsibly. She hated trouble. Feng De was stunned and dumbfounded. What does Miss mean? Miss, do you intend to be an arm-flinging shopkeeper? But you shouldn't leave us alone. Thinking of this, Feng De couldn't help looking at Leng Ruoxue aggrievedly. Then if there's something that we can't solve, who should we look for? Feng De had the expression of, Miss, you can't leave us alone. Leng Ruoxue thought for a while and then casually and very irresponsibly pointed at Feng Moran. Talk to him. He will be your immediate superior from now on. Swear. Feng Moran looked at her aggrievedly. That's right. Feng Moran, Yi Chen, and Mu Li will all be the deputy leaders of our mercenary group from now on. Ask them if you have any issues in the future. Just don't bother me. Leng Ruoxue made up her mind to an arm-flinging shopkeeper no matter what. Okay, look for him if you encounter small things, but only look for me if you meet something big. Yi Chen also pointed at Feng Moran. You all. Feng Moran was speechless. What sort of people are they? Alas, Feng De could see that all of them did not want to take any responsibilities. How can there be such lazy people in this world? Miss, I have drafted regulations for the mercenary group. Deputy Leader Feng has read it and said to ask you for instructions, Feng De said after finding Leng Ruoxue. Since he has okayed it, there's no need to show me. Leng Ruoxue looked at the thick pile of paper in Feng De's hand with a bit of a headache. Miss, you are the leader of the group, and you must agree before we can implement it, Feng De explained. Oh. Put it there first. I'll take a look when I have time. Leng Ruoxue frowned slightly. So thick. Feng De put the regulation draft in front of her and went to work on other things. BL.net, Miss, we are back. We gathered a lot of herbs today. Lin Yuan handed the storage ring in his hand to Leng Ruoxue. He knew that alchemists like their young lady would not let herbs go whenever they saw them. They did not pick ordinary herbs before. Thank you. Leng Ruoxue took the ring, moved the medicinal herbs to her ring, and then returned the ring to Lin Yuan. Basically, every mercenary would learn some knowledge in distinguishing medicinal herbs in order to avoid encountering valuable herbs and not knowing during missions. Miss, I have another piece of news, Lin Yuan said mysteriously. What news? Leng Ruoxue was a little curious. During these days, Lin Yuan and the group's knowledge had improved a lot. Ordinary news probably wouldn't interest him. Purple pearl fruit. Where? Purple pearl fruits were similar to green spirit fruits. Both were more beneficial to spirit beasts and could help spirit beasts to advance. But it could only replenish spiritual energy for humans. The purple pearl fruit might be dispensable to Leng Ruoxue, but she happened not to have one in her hand. Moreover, she had so many beasts, and they would definitely need them in the future. About a 2-day journey away from here. I heard that a level 9 holy beast is guarding it. And the Su family seems to be there too. Apparently, they have to obtain the purple pearl fruit by hook or by crook. Lin Yuan told Leng Ruoxue the news he had heard. The Su family. Leng Ruoxue called Feng De and asked him to tell everyone to pack up and to set off immediately. Shuer, why are we leaving in such a hurry? Yi Chen looked at Leng Ruoxue with some uncertainty. Feng Moran also looked at Leng Ruoxue incomprehensibly. Didn't Shuer say we would rest for 2 days before setting off? These days, not only had they captured a lot of high-level spirit beasts for contracts, but Shuer had also arranged special training for them. They were all a little tired. There's a purple pearl fruit in front, Leng Ruoxue said. Today, I permit the use of flying spirit beasts, Leng Ruoxue said and summoned Quill at the same time. She planned to reach the vicinity of the purple pearl fruit quickly and let the whole team have a good rest there instead. Chapter 37. One cannot reveal the secrets of the heavens. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing this, everyone quickly summoned the flying spirit beasts that they had recently contracted. Their young lady usually didn't allow them to use them. In the words of their young lady, it was to train their endurance. Feng Moran summoned the flying spirit beast that he had never had the opportunity to use and was ready and waiting for Shuer to issue the order. Mu Li also has his own flying spirit beast, but only Yi Chen did not have one. However, he did not need to be invited by others, nor was he embarrassed. Instead, he sat directly on Quill's back with his arms wrapped around Leng Ruoxue's waist casually. Shuer, you have to protect me. I'm afraid of heights. Yi Chen's face looked terrified. It was obvious that he wanted to take advantage of her. Leng Ruoxue could do nothing about his cheekiness. She rolled her eyes at him and didn't bother to care about him. She waved her hand to signal everyone to go. It only took a few hours before they reached the vicinity of the purple pearl fruit. Leng Ruoxue sat on Quill's back and flew around. Seeing that the place closest to the fruit was already full of people, she chose a place not too far away from it as their temporary camp. Everyone seemed to be waiting for the purple pearl fruit to mature. After everyone landed, they quickly set up a camp, lit a fire, and prepared to cook. In addition to the Anaconda Mercenary Group, the Hurricane Mercenary Group and the Universal Mercenary Group are also here. Among the 5 great families, only the Su family is here. In addition, there are several teams sent by some small and medium-sized mercenary groups and families. As for the Guardian Holy Beast, I heard it's a level 9 King Kong Great Ape. Lin Yuan, whom Leng Ruoxue had sent to scout for news, reported when he returned. King Kong Great Ape. Leng Ruoxue pondered. Shuer, a King Kong Great Ape isn't easy to deal with. They're very rare spirit beasts with both offensive and defensive capabilities. They have extraordinary strength and combat power, Yi Chen said from the side. Leng Ruoxue nodded. She also knew that a King Kong Great Ape would be difficult to deal with, but she was not too worried because she had Charm with her. Beloved master, how could you forget Darling? Leave that silly orangutan to your Darling. Darling jumped into Leng Ruoxue's arms and acted coquettishly. You can beat it. Leng Ruoxue looked up and down at the small and cute Darling. With his small arms and legs, wouldn't that giant ape slap him flat before he could do anything? Master, fighting is a barbaric behavior. How can I, your Darling, do something so crude? Darling said in contempt. He was a gentlemanly fox who didn't like fighting. What method do you have then? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. One cannot reveal the secrets of the heavens, Darling said proudly. This little thing actually left her hanging. Leng Ruoxue rubbed Darling's fluffy little head. You don't get any share of dinner tonight. Beloved master, how can you bear to let your dearest darling go hungry? Darling wailed pitifully. His silver eyes complained with tears in them yet looked at Yi Chen triumphantly, full of provocation. Yi Chen looked at the little purple fox lying in Leng Ruoshue's arms, acting coquettishly and provoking him. He only found him an eyesore. If Shuer weren't here, he would have thrown out this stinky, coquettish fox. How dare he compete with me? Leng Ruoshue felt a headache watching the silent sparks fly between the human and the fox. Charm jumped onto Leng Ruoshue's shoulder and said softly, Master, food is ready. Charm is still the most well-behaved. Leng Ruoshue deliberately ran her hand through Charm's beautiful and white fluffy fur. Shuer, I'm very well behaved too. Beloved master, your darling is also very well-behaved. The human and fox spoke in unison while shooting their jealous eyes at Charm, achieving a tacit understanding to cooperate. Hurry up and eat. Then rest early after dinner, Leng Ruoshue said. Okay. The next morning, Leng Ruoshue got out of her tent and saw only Feng Moran, Yi Chen, and Mu Li. Feng De and the others went out so early. Leng Ruoshue asked curiously. It isn't time for breakfast yet, right? Or did I get up late? They said they had something to do and would be back later, Yi Chen explained. It was so early in the morning, and yet they were sneaking around. Who knew what they were doing? Miss, we are back, Feng De said, a little embarrassed. You. Were you robbed? Feng Moran's eyes widened in disbelief. Every one of them was in tattered clothing and had bloodstains on their bodies. Their cheeks were swollen blue and purple, as though they had just been beaten. Very good. Leng Ruoshue glanced at their condition. Big Brother Feng only saw their appearance, but she noticed that their current strength was the same as before they advanced. The badges she gave them had the function of hiding their true strength, and they seemed to have used it. While she didn't care about the Su family and the Anaconda mercenary group, she understood and accepted their intentions for doing this. Yi Chen and Mu Li just glanced at them and didn't say anything. Young master. Young master. I almost couldn't see you anymore. Covered in blood, Feng De ignored the strange gazes of everyone present, threw himself at the young man's side, and wept bitterly. The dozen or so people behind him were all in bad shape as well. You are Feng De. What happened to you? The young man was puzzled. Feng De and his team might not be the very best in their mercenary group, but they were definitely among the best. How could they be in such a miserable state? Young master, we encountered 2 earth pythons, both of which were holy beasts. So we. Feng De hesitated and stopped speaking. Earth pythons. What about Linner and my third brother? Where are they? A middle-aged man rushed out of the crowd and asked anxiously. Second young lady and third master were killed by the earth pythons, Feng De said with a sad expression. Dead. What about the corpses? The middle-aged man didn't believe Feng De. His third brother was a spiritual sovereign. Even if he encountered a holy beast-level earth python, he possessed enough strength to fend it off. Moreover, there were these mercenaries to help. How could he possibly die so easily? They were eaten by the earth pythons, Feng De lied without so much as a fluster. Nonsense. If my third brother, who is a spiritual sovereign, was eaten by the earth pythons, then how could you still be alive? The middle-aged man said furiously. He did not care about Su Linner's life or death, but his third brother, was his blood younger brother. Chapter 38. Why didn't you save the members of our Su family first? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 38. Why didn't you save the members of our Su family first? We were saved by others. How could we be alive otherwise? Feng De explained. What about the people who saved you? The middle-aged man asked angrily. They left after saving us. Then why didn't they save my third brother first but instead saved you? The middle-aged man was furious. Elder Su, we might be mercenaries with low status and not of noble birth like third master and second young lady, but we are also raised by our parents. Please don't insult our dignity. Moreover, can we decide who our benefactor wants to save? Feng De said righteously. Feng Da's words resonated with the mercenaries present. Elder Su's words despising the lives of mercenaries had already made them a little unhappy, but now Feng Da's words had completely aroused their dissatisfaction. That's right. Are the lives of your Su family precious while the lives of us mercenaries worthless? Someone said in the crowd. That's right. The Su family is too much. Isn't this bullying? Someone else said. Young Master Zhang Jian, your mercenary group didn't do a good job of protection. You must give our Su family an explanation for this matter. The middle-aged man's angry face turned livid after everyone accused him. So he simply turned his spear toward the young master of the Anaconda mercenary group and demanded an explanation. This. Zhang Jian frowned and glared at Feng De fiercely. How dare they cause trouble for the mercenary group? He turned his gaze toward the young masters of the Hurricane Mercenary Group and Universal Mercenary Group, Ju Ri and Song Ran, hoping they could help him. However, they refused to look at him. He was so pissed off. Elder Su, this incident is indeed a mistake of our Anaconda Mercenary Group. In order to make up for the bereavement of Elder Su, we are willing to hand them over to you to be at your disposal, Zhang Jian steeled himself and said. Feng Da's team was indeed one of the main forces of the mercenary group, but they could not offend the Su family. If a few people did not die, it would be difficult to dispel the Su family's hatred. Therefore, he had to sacrifice them in hopes that the Su family would see his sincerity and not pursue the matter further. Young Master Zhang, you are a sensible person. The patriarch will see your sincerity, Elder Su said with admiration. The Su family had always had a close cooperative relationship with the Anaconda mercenary group. Therefore, he was very clear that the patriarch would not destroy the group just for his brother and the seemingly favored Liner. After all, there were many things that the Su family found inconvenient to come forward for personally, so they still needed the help of the Anaconda mercenary group. However, since the people were dead, it was impossible not to pursue the matter at all. The Su family's face still had to be retrieved. Young master, you can't give up on us. Feng De said with grief. Young master. No need to shout. I'm expelling you from the Anaconda mercenary group. From now on, you are no longer a part of us, Zhang Jian said sternly. Go down and accompany my brother. Elder Su said with a grim face. He raised the saber in his hand, gathered his spiritual power on the blade, and slashed at them. Ding! A stream of spiritual power knocked Elder Su's sword to the ground. Who is it? Come out! Elder Su roared in anger. How can the people I saved be killed at will? Leng Ruoshue's group of 4 walked out from the crowd. As soon as they appeared, their extraordinary elegance immediately stunned the crowd, making the people reluctant to look away. You were the ones who saved them. Elder Su came to his senses and asked while gritting his teeth. Among the 4 of them, there was an advanced spiritual sovereign and an advanced spiritual monarch, but he could not discern the strength of the beautiful girl and the freakishly good-looking man in black. Yes, we saved them, Leng Ruoshue said coldly. Why didn't you save people from our Su family first? Elder Su shouted furiously. I save people by mood, not by identity, Leng Ruoshue said disdainfully. So what if you're from the Su family? The Su family isn't any better than pigs to me. You. Our Su family won't let you go. Elder Su threatened, trembling with rage. Are you threatening us? The Su family is worthy of being one of the 5 great families. So imposing, I'm so scared. Leng Ruoshue said mockingly with a scared expression on her face. The Su family is too much. They're threatening people who didn't save their family members. The Su family only has this level of tolerance. All the men present saw the stunning beauty being threatened and wronged by others, and they immediately interrupted in righteous indignation. "Miss, you've just saved me and my brothers once again. My brothers and I are willing to follow Miss and repay you for your great favor. I will fight against whoever dares make trouble for Miss," Fongda said solemnly. Even though he knew that the young lady didn't need them to act in this way, they would always feel a knot in their hearts if they didn't. Moreover, they did this to let people know of the ruthlessness and bullying nature of the Su family and the Anaconda mercenary group. "Since you've been expelled from the Anaconda mercenary group, I will accept you." Leng Ruoxue nodded. She found that Fongda and the others were becoming more devious. But just as well. She was pretty satisfied. "How dare you take in the people who our Su family wants to kill?" Elder Su's face darkened with anger. "You said you wouldn't let us go, then what does it matter if I take them in or not?" Leng Ruoxue said without any fear, not paying attention to this angry Elder Su at all. "Young Master Zhang." Elder Su turned his head to look at Zhang Jian for support. Although he really wanted to kill them to vent his anger for the death of his brother, he was an elder of a prominent family after all and hadn't lost his reason yet. He was not afraid of the spiritual sovereign nor the spiritual monarch. Who he feared were the stunning girl and the freakishly good-looking man. He couldn't tell how strong these two people were at all. But since they could kill two holy beast-level earth pythons, then they were definitely not weaker than him, so he didn't dare to act rashly. "Elder Su, I expelled them just now. You heard it." Zhang Jian was not stupid. Since he had already handed them over, he wouldn't care if they were killed or not. Zhang Jian turned his head and looked at Leng Ruoxue. When did such a great beauty appear on the Ling Feng continent? Even Shui Xinran of the Shui family is like a weed compared to her. Chapter 39. King Kong Great Ape. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "May I ask your good name, Mississippi?" Zhang Jian asked, thinking he was being very polite and authentic. He couldn't help but convince himself that only he deserved to have such a stunning beauty. Leng Ruoxue looked at the young master of the Anaconda mercenary group. "He looks okay, but his character isn't very good." Because she did not have a good impression of him, she did not plan to talk to him. "Wife, who is this person?" Yi Chen said with a look of jealousy and dissatisfaction. "Humph, how dare he have any ideas about Shuer? He must be tired of living." "I don't know." Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. This man insisted on calling her his wife whenever there were many people around. Zhang Jian couldn't believe that such a great beauty was actually married. But since she was married, she wasn't worthy of him even if she was so beautiful. Leng Ruoxue glanced at Zhang Jian with a bit of disgust, and she then looked at the young masters of the other two major mercenary groups. These two young masters were superior in both appearance and demeanor. It seems that this Anaconda mercenary group will be destroyed in his hands sooner or later. Seeing Leng Ruoxue's gaze on them, Ju Ri and Song Ran nodded friendly. "Miss, your tent is set up." Fongda walked over. Leng Ruoxue nodded. She completely ignored the fuming Elder Su and went directly into her tent to rest. Not long after entering, a purple shadow jumped into her arms. "Beloved master, your darling is back." Leng Ruoxue gently touched the thick, fluffy fur on darling's body. "Ah, it feels really good." "Did the ape agree?" Leng Ruoxue asked. Any spirit beast with wisdom would agree to exchange a green spirit pill for a purple pearl fruit. It was not a loss. With Darling going into action, how could that stupid ape dare not to agree? Darling said proudly. His strategy was to exchange his cute master's green spirit pill for the purple pearl fruit. However, that stupid ape has another condition. Darling said a little uncomfortably. Even though he had always called that guy stupid ape, the ape wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was really smart. What condition? Leng Ruoxue asked, a little baffled. He wants to acknowledge you as his master. Darling was a little annoyed. After that stupid ape knew that his beloved master was an alchemist, he wanted to be with her too. Woo! It's all my fault. I shouldn't have told that stupid thing. Lang Ruoxue was speechless. Why are the spirit beasts I meet all so savvy? But I really don't want to have an ape as my spirit beast. She felt terrified just thinking about having a huge ape following behind her. It would really become Beauty and the Beast. Go and tell him that I won't accept him as my spirit beast. However, if he's willing, let him acknowledge Big Brother Feng as his master. I won't treat him badly, Lang Ruoxue said after some thought. Big Brother Feng was the weakest among them. His strength would improve a lot if he contracted with this ape. What's the matter? Yi Chen walked in and asked. He just saw that stinky fox come back. Why did he go out again? He went to look for the ape, Lang Ruoxue explained. What? The matter isn't resolved yet. Didn't he say it's easy? Yi Chen said gloatingly. The ape said he wanted to acknowledge me as his master, but I didn't agree. I asked Darling to tell him to acknowledge Big Brother Feng as his master, Lang Ruoxue said. There were so many people here, so it would be really inconvenient if they were to go negotiate with the ape in person. She didn't want to become everyone's target. Schwer, you are being biased. You don't share good things with me, Yi Chen complained, looking at Lang Ruoxue with pitiful eyes. Don't tell me you want that ape. Lang Ruoxue didn't believe he was interested in that ape. Regardless, you are being biased, Yi Chen said aggrievedly. He wasn't interested in the ape, but he just couldn't stand seeing Schwer caring so much about other men. We'll have earth python meat for dinner tonight. Lang Ruoxue didn't say anything useless and directly threw out food as bait. Okay, give it to me. Yi Chen directly stretched out his hand to ask for the meat so that Schwer would not regret it. During this period, he had been asking for it for a long time, but Schwer was reluctant to take it out to eat. What a glutton. Lang Ruoxue reluctantly took out dozens of pieces of earth python meat and put them in front of Yi Chen. Yi Chen unceremoniously collected the meat hurriedly into his ring, for fear that someone would snatch it from him. Big Brother Feng, come with me, Lang Ruoxue whispered to Feng Moran. Schwer, where are we going? Feng Moran was puzzled. Schwer was bringing him quite a distance away. Lang Ruoxue led Feng Moran around randomly to make sure that no one was following them, and then they went into a cave. The cave was very small, and they had to bend down to get in. Darling, which way should we go? Lang Ruoxue asked Darling, who was lying in her arms, after they entered the cave. Turn left and go all the way to the end, Darling said. The two walked for about half an hour and finally came to a very spacious cave. Lang Ruoxue looked at the King Kong great ape. He was about 10 meters tall and covered with long black hair, and his body was strong and resembled a mountain. She couldn't help but be impressed. What an ape! He's probably the tallest and most robust spirit beast I've seen. Big Brother Feng, this ape will be your spirit beast from now on, Lang Ruoxue said. Ha, Schwer. No, this isn't good. Her words shocked Feng Moran. This was a level 9 holy beast, a level 9 holy beast. There were only 2 such beasts in the Feng family. Acknowledge your master. Lang Ruoxue said directly to the King Kong great ape. This gorilla was unexpectedly also a spirit beast with an ancient noble bloodline. The King Kong great ape nodded and directly initiated the process. After a while, the contract array disappeared, and he successfully acknowledged his master. Master. The King Kong great ape's voice boomed. His master's current strength was now very low. But with such friends, he believed that following his master was definitely the right choice. Ah! Feng Moran was obviously still a little dazed. But he felt the connection between his soul and the ape's and knew that the ape had already acknowledged him as his master. Schwer. Fong Moran looked at Schwer and didn't know what to say. Schwer treated him better than his family did, and he really didn't know how to repay her. Chapter 40. Big Brother is hurt. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Big Brother Fong, let's go out first. Leng Ruoxue said. What about the purple pearl fruit? Relax. I've put it away. Then let's quickly leave before someone finds us. There were so many people waiting outside. If they were discovered, everyone would target them immediately. Let's go. Although Leng Ruoxue wasn't worried about the people outside, she decided that it would still cause too much trouble. And she hated trouble. Master, I want to stay here to advance, the King Kong great ape said awkwardly. He had waited for far too long, and now that he finally had a chance, he didn't want to wait any longer. Here. There are many people outside. It won't be safe to stay here, Fong Moran said worriedly. Master, don't worry. It's not so easy to come here, the King Kong great ape said confidently. Big Brother Fong, just let him advance here. Leng Ruoxue said after deliberation. Spirit beasts were very adaptable, and each had its means of survival. Since he was so confident, there shouldn't be a problem. Moreover, they would be guarding outside. All right. Be careful then, Fong Moran said. Since Schwer says so, nothing should happen. At this point, his admiration for Schwer knew no bounds. Seeing the two return with rabbits in their hands, Yi Chen knew that it was done. You must be tired. Food will be ready soon. Yi Chen walked to Leng Ruoxue. Did something happen? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help asking when she saw the smirk on his face. Just now, Elder Su saw us grilling the earth python meat and said that we were eating Su family members, Yi Chen explained. Elder Su, you are mistaken. Us eating the earth python is actually avenging your Su family members. Leng Ruoxue smiled gently at Elder Su. The poor earth pythons died and still had to take the blame for them. Obviously, Elder Su couldn't bear these words. Upon hearing them, he instantly fainted from anger. Miss, you are my idol. Fong De had stars in his eyes. Miss can knock out a peak spiritual sovereign merely with words. Amazing. You're not bad either. Fong Moran suddenly praised. At first, he thought these mercenaries were all straightforward and honest people, but unexpectedly, they were so devious. He almost thought their acting earlier was real. Hee, it's all thanks to Miss teaching us well. Fong De didn't dare to take the compliment. It was the result of their young lady training them well during this period. Do you mean that it's this young lady's bad influence? Leng Ruoxue said cheekily. No, Fong De immediately denied in fright. Oh gosh, please don't get mad at me. Your training ideas are too creative. I can't handle them. Why are you so scared? Relax. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't haggle over it with you, Leng Ruoxue said as she took out a stack of paper from her storage ring and passed it to Fong De. Just follow the instructions here. I'm going to rest. Then Leng Ruoxue headed straight into her tent. When Fong De saw the content on the paper, his lips twitched, and cold sweat rolled down his forehead. What's the matter? Let me see, Fong Moran said. After reading it, he was dumbfounded. Does Schwer not want our mercenary group to have any business? Very good, just to my liking. Yi Chen approved after reading it. After entering her tent, Leng Ruoxue went straight into the heaven and earth bracelet. Qin Ju had already planted the purple pearl fruit. Big sister. Leng Ruoxue carried the chubby and tender baby and kissed his pretty little face before going to the purple pearl fruit. The purple pearl fruit resembled a green spirit fruit, but the colors were different. The purple pearl fruit was a beautiful fuchsia. Big sister. The little wolf Fong Fong ran over to Lang Ruoxue happily. Little Fong Fong, don't be naughty in here. Lang Ruoxue carried little Fong Fong into her arms. This little thing had gained some weight after staying here for a few days and was a little rounder. Yes, Fong Fong is very obedient, the little wolf said. Qing Ju, big sister is heading out first, Lang Ruoxue said as she left the heaven and earth bracelet with the little wolf. Big brother Ran, it's so nice to see you here. When Lang Ruoxue left her tent, she saw a pretty and delicate girl talking to Fong Moran. Although the girl was talking to Fong Moran, she kept eyeing Yi Chen. Who is she? Lang Ruoxue asked curiously when she walked to Yi Chen's side. Seems like someone from his previous mercenary group. Yi Chen said disgruntledly. How dare this woman fantasize about me? Hello, big sister. Thank you for taking care of big brother Ran. The delicate girl walked up to Lang Ruoxue and spoke as if they were well acquainted. Wait, do I know you? Lang Ruoxue was puzzled, but she was looking at Fong Moran. Who does she think she is? Why is she thanking me? What a hypocritical woman. Does she think her smile can hide her jealousy? The flicker of jealousy in the woman's eyes flashed by quickly, but it couldn't escape Lang Ruoxue's eyes. Big sister, I am Hong Xiu, big brother Ran's friend, Hong Xiu said tenderly, beaming from ear to ear. Since you are only big brother Feng's friend, I don't think you should be the one thanking me. Besides, I'm only 15. Do you think you're younger than me? Lang Ruoxue said coldly, not giving her any face at all. This irrelevant person dares to provoke me. Big brother Ran, I. Hong Xiu looked at Fong Moran aggrievedly with tears welling up in her eyes, hoping that he would speak up for her. In the past, he always took good care of her in the mercenary group. You don't belong here. Go back. Fong Moran said impatiently. He didn't want to have the slightest relationship with anyone from his previous mercenary group. Big brother Ran. Hong Xiu was dumbfounded. It shouldn't be like this. You don't have to feel bothered about being expelled from a second-rate mercenary group. Brother, I was expelled from the second-best one. Fong De patted Fong Moran's shoulder to console him. You're right. Everyone, from now on, we are the Blazing Flame mercenary group. Fong Moran declared at the top of his lungs.